What's that smell?
Dookie.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Elaine Woolscroft.
Does anybody else smell dookie?
Dookie!
So John has
Brian,
been
you said that so
saying-
puzzingly.
John has said that entire exchange from No Holds Barred for the past 3 days, and I think I'm gonna die.
Yeah. Why'd you make me watch this movie?
You forgot cinematic.
You don't have to be married to him.
Yeah.
He made me watch it too. This feels like a betrayal of our vows. You said you would keep me safe from pain.
I'm just saying, friends don't let friends watch terrible films.
Friends don't let friends Hulk out.
Guys, didn't we all come into an agreement that part of the show was watching terrible films?
You are correct.
I don't think we knew it was gonna hurt this much.
You are correct. So we're on episode 90, guys.
Woo!
90.
The Fighting
This is
90.
getting crazy.
You're bringing that back.
Bringing it back. Yeah.
Crazy.
Burke Ramsey.
Crazy.
Let me see what else. Body by Jake. His
Yeah.
bro muscles.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking, it's another entry into our ever-growing Pantheon of Utter Shit. This entry is going to be with No Holds Barred from 1989, starring Hulk Hogan and Tiny Lister. Is it Tiny Lister?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
his nickname is Tiny. It's
Yeah.
Tom Tiny Lister.
Yeah,
Junior,
he's usually
actually.
credited as Tiny Lister. You guys might remember him from The Dark Knight.
And from what the hell is it? The Fifth Element.
Oh,
He was the president of the world.
We are getting all our nerd on right now, guys.
But we have a little bit of a guest who's going to be joining us, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
John, tell us about
Tell
this.
us about our guest.
We will be having Conrad Thompson, who is the host of Something to Wrestle With, Bruce Prichard. Right now, essentially the most popular wrestling podcast going today.
Wow.
Yep. Bruce Prichard was with the WWE for like 28 years. Like he's seen and did it all. And they kind of talk about the history of, wrestling through Bruce's time there. Talked about this movie. And so he'll be coming on to talk about it and kind of give a breakdown with us and of this amazing, amazing tour de force film.
Wow. But before we get to all that, we got a little bit of a news bit, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of older news, but if we were recording 2 weeks prior, this would be new.
if we were time traveling.
Yeah.
It's another Star Wars trailer, guys.
Star
Wars again.
So they premiered
never
this.
ends.
They premiered this at the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
That was so long ago I couldn't remember.
Yeah, this one is the official teaser, I guess. It's a little bit different than the one I saw at the Super Bowl, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. I think that with the Super Bowl, they didn't put the whole trailer out. I think they just did kind of like snippets, but then they put the full trailer on the web.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
That's what they tend to do because, the advertising on the Super Bowl is ridiculous. So why not just put it on the web, right?
Did you notice this guy sounds nothing like Harrison Ford at all?
I know. He didn't even try to sound like Harrison Ford
he
either.
said he specifically tried not to do a Harrison Ford impression.
God forbid.
I mean, but you're supposed to be playing young Harrison Ford, though.
That's kind of like saying, yeah, let's get Harrison Ford's or Han Solo's son not to look like anything like Han Solo.
Well,
Or
done
No,
and
they,
done.
well, no, they found someone who did look like him. You don't think Kylo looks a little bit like Harrison Ford?
No, I don't.
I think so. He's got the nose and everything.
I'm with Lane on this one.
Oh, I never thought about it. It's because I think his hair is so dark.
No, I was looking at nose and eyes. He kind of looks a little bit like a younger
look
Harrison
again.
Ford.
I'll have to look again.
Those two
His
would have
hair
made a
being
much
black.
prettier baby than that.
Especially Princess Leia and her Princess Leia Prime. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They would have made a good looking kid. But anyway, let's not think about them doing it.
Why not?
Not right now. Not right now. But
Sure,
yeah,
keep it down back there.
but yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I do think it's distracting that the actor doesn't sound like him, but I think we're also starting to see some of the elements that just might not be working in this whole debacle of a film. I mean, like
Yeah.
the original directors were kicked out, and then like Ron Howard took over. Great, and then I mean, just I think this is going to be a convoluted mess. And now we are watching it for the show, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We have to.
Like, I think we have it scheduled for 2 weeks after it comes out, so everybody has a chance to see it.
Cool. That's so nice of us. But I mean, I'm always going to be biased because this is where my nerd comes out, because there is an excellent trilogy of books that covers Han Solo's origins. Right. It's a series by Anne C. Crispin, and it was written in the 90s. And these books are dope. Like, I mean, it's everything that you would want, because she was able to write an actual story. She didn't have Lucasfilm breathing down her neck. She didn't have Disney breathing down her neck. You know, the story, it takes a place, you know, on how he got like caught up in smuggling, his time at the academy, you know, how he meets Chewbacca. Like, that to me, I mean, I know the extended universe isn't canon. It's now under the Legends label. But like, but you know, I mean, this is
mean?
This is
such marketing.
Oh, it's such a bullshit. But you know, it's just amazing to me, because when you're given the opportunity to make a great story, like that's what happened. She wrote this amazing trilogy, and I reread the first book last year, and you know, just to see what they're going to shoehorn in, you know, the fact that Lando's in this movie as well. Like, I mean, we're going to be covering so much of Han Solo's life if we're doing the origin all the way to Lando.
This is the only movie he's getting, though.
I know, but I just think I just think that maybe they shouldn't have had such a breadth of it, you know?
I mean, for me, Han Solo is not the type of character you want to make a movie necessarily about.
Right. I do agree with that. I mean, as much as I enjoyed this trilogy, you know, that I read like in the 90s when I was in like junior high, you know, like I think that, you know, John has said that a million times. Like, it's a mysterious character. We shouldn't know his origins.
Well, not even just that. Go ahead, John.
Oh, sorry. But wasn't he just a piece of crap to begin with? Like, no, he has an eventual arc. Like,
he is a piece of shit.
George Lucas, there's a reason he shot first. It's so he can grow as a character.
He totally shot first.
He did.
Yeah.
Everybody knows
apparently
that.
he doesn't even... George Lucas doesn't realize that. But, you know, but he comes full circle by the end of the movie. So are we just going to see, like, 5 years of his life of him being a miserable piece of crap?
I don't know. I mean, for me, I know they're basing a lot of this around the Kessel Run.
You mean the throwaway line Harrison Ford had in the
throwaway
first
line
movie?
that was just there.
Yeah.
Because, hey, you know what? Why not make a 2+ hour movie about a single line?
Well, we can't have anything new. It has to be, I recognize it. I've seen that. I'm going to clap now.
But here's the thing. No one's seen the Kessel Run.
But they're aware of it, I suppose.
They know of it from that one throwaway line. So a lot of people are like, what the fuck is that? I don't know what that is. And the uber nerds, the neckbeards, as you so eloquently call them all the time, as we both have beards,
going into our necks.
they're the ones who are like, well, the Kessel Run is the trading route that, you know, that smugglers would use all the time. And to do it in 12 parsecs is very fast.
I'd also like to say, by us having beards, he means Brian and John. No beard here.
No.
Lane, your beard is acceptable.
My beard is on the inside.
Oh,
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I don't even
I went
either.
gutter, but that's just me.
So, did anybody notice that Mr. I'm going to be in every large franchise now, Woody Harrelson was in this?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm not even
Woody
surprised.
Harrelson.
Hunger Games, he's just in everything now.
Yeah.
That would be my like dream as an actor. I'd be like, yes, I'll be in Star Wars and the Hunger Games and every other cool franchise ever. Though Hunger Games sucked at the end.
I have a feeling that what's his face from Game of Thrones is probably going to end up doing that.
Oh, maybe.
Jon Snow dude?
No, not Jon Snow
two,
dude.
two of the they're going to be in
Lannister,
two actors
the
from
little person. My brain's not working today.
You mean Peter Dinklage?
Yes, Peter Dinklage. That's it.
Brian, I spaced too. We just
what
watched
happens when
him
you've
The
got
guy
no
who was
whole
an
story
elf.
in your brain.
in Days of Future Past, which was just on TV.
Oh yeah, I forgot how good Peter Dinklage is in Days of Future Past. He's awesome in that.
He actually is the only redeeming factor of. No, that movie's good.
It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, will Woody Harrelson play a character, a jaded, cynical guy with a chip on his shoulder and a drinking problem who has a heart of gold?
I have a feeling that's what they're going to do. It is
Sort
a
of
Ron
his
Howard
thing.
movie,
He's
after
never,
all.
Woody Harrelson's never played that character before.
No.
Rough.
That's not like just on his headshot.
Yeah.
You know, I was in Cheers, and I have a drinking problem and a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And I really love hemp and weed.
Yeah.
So
such a stretch
Well,
for the
he's
guy.
actually a straight edge now. He's actually
is he?
Yeah, he's quit pot. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wow.
Good for him.
And it's funny because he always plays an alcoholic in the movies. He really didn't drink all that much. Woody Harrelson.
Interesting.
As like an actual man.
I still say his best role was Kingpin.
Oh yeah, Kingpin's awesome.
Kingpin's great. But yeah, this trailer has a couple things that I'm just like, why? Like the Kessel Run was a big thing, but then you've also got this whole like kind of like Ocean's 12. We're gonna create a team of people, and that's where we get introduced to Lando, which I will say, Donald Glover as Lando looks good.
He looks perfect. Like he looks exactly like not even just Billy D, but he looks like fucking Lando. I have a very complicated relationship with Donald Glover.
Explain your complicated relationship with Donald Glover.
I
it's used
mostly
today, right?
just want to murder him and just take his life. That's the thing, right?
Hold for editing. No,
That's
No,
kind
I'm-
of dark.
No, I'm totally kidding. No, I just, he's about our age and he's just like so fucking successful. And I just would have liked to have done all the things that he did. He wrote for 30 Rock, for Christ's
He
sake.
also started off making YouTube videos for Derek Comedy.
That's true. Oh my God. Dude, I forgot about Derek
Yeah.
Comedy. How funny was some of that shit?
That shit was
Forgot
fucking
about
hilarious.
that. All right. Step one.
Step one.
YouTube channel.
Yep. There you
Got
go.
it.
we did a shot with some of them from Derek Comedy. Donald,
Oh,
that time was too
yeah.
big to be at
Yeah.
Edinburgh. So
Well, I
he
think
wasn't
I think he also still had to work.
there. Yeah.
But yeah, no,
He did.
two of the Derek Comedy guys came to Edinburgh University when we were there.
Really?
I'll be damned if I can remember what their names are. But-
Yeah, I feel bad. but we all went out like to the bar afterwards and stuff. They were real nice.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
That's cool.
You know what I would have loved to see though? I would love to have the balls to not put the Millennium Falcon in this.
I mean, right? I mean, but we're probably going to see that Sabak game, right? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
that's going to happen.
That's what the gold dice were in Last Jedi.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that I knew.
I didn't
because
know that.
I didn't know they were a big deal because you can barely see them in the original trilogy. But just because I'm such a fucking nerd, like someone was making a big deal about it on the internet and like, what were those dice? I was like, those were the dice that Han used in the Sabak game where he won the Millennium Falcon. And I was like, how the fuck did I know that?
I didn't know that.
I like the deepest recesses of my brain knew that. It was upsetting.
I still say, like, in lieu of this movie, they should have gone with Obi-Wan. Aren't they planning an Obi-Wan movie?
I don't know.
We saw
Ewan
Obi-Wan as
McGregor's
a young
getting old.
man though.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, there is a whole gap of time of him arriving on Tatooine and meeting Luke that I personally would have liked to have seen.
Really? I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's just involving being in a desert hut and being
Okay,
miserable.
first of all,
Doing some gardening.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Rock gardening.
Moisture.
Do you guys ever watch the show Arrow?
No, I've heard it's
Okay,
great, but I
so
don't watch it.
In the show Arrow, and I'll make this quick. You're the beginning of the series. You're told to believe that Oliver Queen was on Lian Yu, the island that he crashed on in his father's boat, for 5 years. You find out over the course of the series that actually wasn't the case. He did do crazy adventures while also on the island.
I see. So
That-
he wasn't really there.
Yes.
And you're thinking, I see.
So that's what I'm saying is that would be kind of interesting to see what did Obi-Wan do during that time. Obviously, he had to learn how to be a Force ghost. That wasn't something that everyone knew how to do. So I would have liked to have seen something like that.
I see. Yeah.
Apparently
I
he
don't
was
know.
hanging
I mean,
out with Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Just having convos.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like as far as this goes, I mean, just like a lot of the things we're doing Star Wars wise, like aren't making me particularly happy. But what I'd really like to see, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, Brian, is that I want to see a Rebels movie. Like,
Yes.
let's bring that out because
Yeah.
there's still good stories to be told when you
It's
aren't.
almost over.
You know, I know. I'm so sad.
Well, guys, is that a Disney creation? Rebels?
Kind of, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Okay, then
it's
they might do it.
It's a great marriage of what Star Wars can be and how it does, completely fit into canon. Like when you try to take the original stuff and bring it into this new forefront of, a lot of like studio attention, a lot of, like corporate bullshit, that doesn't work. But I think like the fact that Rebels has always existed as a Disney property, I think whatever the reason, like there wasn't a lot of expectations, but I think we need more Star Wars stories that don't have a central focus on the original characters. I think that's what's not working.
A lot of what helps Rebels is also the fact that You have people like Dave Filoni, who is the showrunner for Rebels, who was also the showrunner for Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. So they brought in a lot of people from Clone Wars.
A lot of continuity there.
To work on Rebels. Totally. And, I mean, Filoni is a master storyteller, in my opinion, especially with creating characters that are derivative, but at the same time, brand new.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
Like, there's always some semblance of familiarity with Rebels, but at the same time, you're like, this is a new character. Ezra Bridger didn't exist until Rebels came along.
And too, I do like the inclusion of more women. You know, I like seeing Sabine. I like Hera. Even the fact they bring Ahsoka on, you know, later on from Clone Wars where she started. But having that female element, I think, is really helpful because it makes for better stories. Yep. But guys, my goodness, that was nerdy, guys.
Well, what's the over/under on us seeing Jabba the Hutt in this movie?
Oh, God damn it.
I think pretty good.
The Hutts are in the nerdy trilogy that I mentioned. There's a subspecies. There's a subspecies of Hutt in that series.
I'm gonna say it's over 30%, but I'm gonna say it's over 40%, but under 80%.
I think Jabba's gonna be in it.
I think he starts working for Jabba at the end.
I think he's gonna be in it. Like, I'm just gonna cry.
And it's like, I give you this ship, and it's the Falcon or something.
Yep. Yeah. Gonna cry.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
no, that's right. He won it from Lando. Sorry, nerds.
Nerds. So we'll take a quick break from all this nerdery. We're gonna just throw things to the Epicast Network. Hopefully, you guys find another show on the network there that you enjoy, just like you enjoy us. And when we come back, we will have Conrad Thompson.
Hey guys, this is Marta from Marta on the Move. I hope you're enjoying this podcast. When you're done with this one, you should go check out mine on www.martaonthemove.com. On the Epicast Network, you can find me on Twitter at ICan'tFindMarta. If you like interesting people and places in Pittsburgh, food and drink, travel advice, and general nerdery, check it out and keep it moving.
And we're back. Those messages from our friends over the Epicast Network. Be sure to check them out at epicastnetwork.com.
Yeah, and we are back here with our review and takedown of No Holds Barred, along with a very special guest. Hey, it's Conrad.
Hey, how's it going, man? How are you guys?
Doing real well. Going great.
Yeah, and like as I was saying off the air, obviously it's a real honor to have you on the show and to bring a kind of a, I wouldn't say a different set of expertise, but, you know, as a man who is a student of the game of professional wrestling, you can offer a different perspective here on this movie. And I know that you, as well as myself, are quite a fan of this movie.
Yeah, man, I absolutely love it. This is one of the only movies that I not only have on DVD, VHS, Blu-ray, and Laserdisc.
Wow.
I was wondering if that was coming.
Laserdisc.
Yes, that's fandom.
That is some fandom right there.
Now you just need to buy an original print of the movie and get a projector.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So No Holds Barred is a movie essentially about Hulk Hogan, but he plays a character named Rip. He is the WWF heavyweight champion in a world where Jesse Ventura is Jesse Ventura. We have Howard Finkel is Howard Finkel. Mean Gene Okerlund is Mean Gene Okerlund, but Hulk Hogan is Rip.
So it's a little bit like Last Action Hero.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit like that.
Yeah. And Connor, why do you think that they push for him to be Rip and not Hulk Hogan in this movie?
Yeah, I didn't think this made any sense either. You would think you would want Hulk Hogan to be a big movie star, you know, off camera, on camera, wherever. And for whatever reason, WWE decided, hey, maybe the smart thing is let's create another character and we can sell merchandise that way. So instead of red and yellow Hulk Hogan, let's sell some white and blue Rip.
Makes sense.
That's true.
T-shirts, dolls, yeah. The whole.
But you would think that the name value alone, that, you know, you would probably push more Hulk Hogan merchandise if it was in a movie, right? I mean, that's what I always thought.
That was exactly my argument. And I guess they just decided that didn't make sense. So
I suppose if the Hulk Hogan merchandise, which it was flying off the shelves, why not try to, well, let's get some Rip merchandise. We'll have a whole new character. You know?
Yeah, I think the idea is at the time they didn't have the the collection of merchandise that they do now. So there was a Hulk Hogan shirt, the Hulkamania shirt. So it's probably a situation where they looked around and said, well, these guys already bought the Hulkamania shirt. Let's give them something else to buy. But to me, you could have just introduced new shirts through the movie and made them movie exclusives.
Yeah.
But still called him Hulk Hogan. But what do I know?
Right. There's not too much logic when it comes to Vince McMahon.
No.
You just you're along for the ride. But movie came out June 2nd, 1989. And what many people don't realize about this movie is there is a credited writer on this project. But
glad to know it's been written by somebody.
I know that's it sounds strange, but their Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon actually hated the original version of the script and locked themselves in a hotel room for 72 hours and practically rewrote the whole thing.
I'm assuming the dookie line came from that.
Well, any fan of wrestling knows that Vince McMahon is very into scatological humor.
Oh, so
I don't know any other business where poop has fallen from
I
the
was going to
ceiling
say,
more.
he said scat. I'm like, you really doing that? Okay.
But Conrad, what do you think was the reason for the huge script rewrite? Do you think it was just trying to fit into the WWE brand more? Or what do you think the situation was where they thought we have to just completely take this thing from the ground up in 72 hours?
I think the situation is normal. You know, they're rewriting Raw up until Raw goes on the air each week. Vince McMahon just sort of changes his mind as the wind blows. And I'm sure that's what happened here. He liked the script originally. And then as we got closer to time, it became more and more pressing that he change it just because he had grown tired of the old one that no one had ever seen.
Interesting. Yeah. And who do you guys think is at the typewriter and who's the pacer? Because there's always two people. There's somebody that sits and writes, and the other one's walking around the room coming up with ideas. I think it's Vince at the typewriter.
Right? Oh, I think it's Hulk at the typewriter.
Okay.
I think it's Hulk at the typewriter.
I think Hulk's at the typewriter and Vince is just going, let me tell you something. We're going to go ahead and have poop in this. And we're going to have a guy named Zeus. And Zeus is going to come out and he's just going to scream. He doesn't say anything except, like that's what he's going to do.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. So when they're casting the movie, and I know this from a podcast called Something to Wrestle With, Bruce Prichard. That's where I did actually quite a bit of my research. Is that when Tiny Lister came in to audition for the role, kind of an unknown at the time, Vince basically just turns to Hulk and says, "That's our Zeus." You know, like on the spot, they cast him, and they were off and running here. And so basically the movie opens up, as I mentioned, with WWF everything. Mm-hmm. We had Jesse doing commentary as he was doing at the time. And, Rip wins the big match here, and he comes out snarling like an animal
and drooling.
And I mean, I
in
guess,
slow motion.
I guess when you're a director and you've directed Max Headroom, maybe it's hard to direct people.
That's right.
But yeah, just kind of snarling like an animal, and that's not the first or last time that he kind of does that. Like with the Dookie scene, which we will happily get to. He's sniffing the air. Like a Doberman does when he smells like chocolate in the kitchen.
Well, I feel like a solid 3/4 of Hulk's performance is breathing based.
And then from the match, we go to the boardroom meeting where we meet Brell. He is
quintessential 80s villain.
Yes.
So good. Like he's so villainy in this.
And
he's just a wiener.
Yeah.
Like he always plays wieners in movies. Like
you always hate his guts.
You do. Hate him in Ghostbusters too. You hate him in this movie.
And he is basically saying that they need professional wrestling and this is where you get the idea that Vince McMahon rewrote the script because there's nothing else on television other than wrestling. The moon landing, forget that. That's not ratings. Professional wrestling. Now, Conrad, do you think that because a lot of people don't remember that of the territory days when Vince McMahon kind of bought everybody out and kind of went global, was this somewhat of an attack on people that hadn't bought in? Do you think like Jim Crockett or, I think Jerry Jarrett at the time was still independent. Was this his way of kind of backhandedly going at his competition, even though he at the time sort of didn't have competition until Turner came around?
No, I don't think so at all. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but I do like a minute ago that you compared, hey, let's get the moon landing for ratings. Like, We could go set up a couple of rings and have guys get in their underwear and oil themselves up and pretend to punch each other. Or we could send a guy to the moon.
It's that simple.
I know which one of those is more cost effective. And I'm glad that Brill went with sweaty dudes in their underwear.
But yeah, so in this world, though, it's wrestling or nothing. They even suggest pitching like game shows and sitcoms, and Brell basically tells a woman to go piss herself.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, he does.
Because that's just
I'm surprised
nonsense.
that no one in like this that type of scene just reminds me of kind of like how reality TV shows came to be. A bunch of executives sitting around saying, "Okay, how can we get ratings? Well, we could do wrestling or we could do game shows, but let's just film people and just cut it together to make it look like they're horrible people in one house."
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the idea is that they need to get Rip on their network. And their network is the World Television Network, which to me feels
their main
like,
competitor is Globe Television Network.
and I feel like these are just placeholder names. Like, okay, we need to write this, and you're going and you're getting it done. And you're like, okay, well, we'll come up with better names later. But then, like, all of a sudden, the production date was right around the corner, and they just kept them in there.
Well, at the same time, though, what did TNN stand for? Or what did, so there's lots of weird stations at the time where it feels like there's just no thought put into this at all.
Yeah.
Well, plus, it's also worth noting that around this time is also when CNN first pretty much came up. And that was one of the first 24-hour news networks. So, I mean, I guess you can kind of say they were maybe pulling from that.
And this is when they call in Rip to the big meeting.
Oh,
they
God.
try to convince him to join their network. See, I didn't understand was they run a network, right? Not a wrestling promotion.
Yes.
So they want to bring Rip in, but the thing is, you have to bring in at least 30 other wrestlers. You need to have crew, backstage crew. You need to have creative. You need to have camera crews. You need to have that camera equipment. You need to have wrestling rings. You need to have, all these things. You can't just bring in Rip and have a wrestling.
Listen, as we know, it took nothing for them to get, octagonal rings.
Right.
It took nothing for them to find some sort of smelting workshop and have wrestling there. So I think that Brell had the means to be able to do that sort of thing. However, Rip can't fight himself.
Yeah, and it's just funny to me that they didn't decide that they needed the resources for wrestling. Like, the entire plot point is that they just want Rip. As if they can just put a camera on him and he can just stand there and that's going to bring in the money. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't want to do wrestling. They just wanted this big name.
Lane, you've clearly never seen a Hulk Hogan promo. That can bring money in by itself.
My mistake.
While we're talking about it, what do the Kardashians do on their show?
Oh,
Yep. They stand there and look pretty.
They're big stars, so turn the camera on and the money comes rolling in. So Brell's not that far off here. If you want to be in wrestling, just go down to your National Guard Armory. They don't want to be in wrestling. They want the name in wrestling that draws money, and that's Rip.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But, Rip is too honorable for this, which is funny because come 1994 or so, Hulk Hogan joins WCW, even though he said he would never compete against Vince. But Rip is not Hulk Hogan.
No.
He is too honorable and shoves the check down the throat, which
That's assault.
Yeah. Well,
to be fair, Brell really threatened the guy,
yeah.
which was idiotic because Brell is like, 6 inches
He's
shorter
a wiener.
and not
We've
a
already
wrestler.
decided that Brell is a wiener, and he's got the worst insults ever. The big thing in this
Jock-Ass.
movie is Jock-Ass. Everything's
Which I don't
Jock-Ass.
understand.
And I'm like, who thought that up?
I will never understand
that.
Jock-Ass.
I'll attribute to probably Hulk, not necessarily Vince.
But yeah, he is one of the best lines in the movie of a movie that's riddled with great lines is I won't be around when this check clears, dude. And jams it into his throat. I think he's talking about Dookie.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And goes to leave. And before we get into the big action sequence that follows here, Hulk Hogan's outfit is amazing.
It is. He looks like a super well-traveled spin instructor.
And Conrad, you guys had talked about on the show that it was basically suggested by Bruce that this is how he dresses most of the time.
all the time. It's phenomenal. It makes me such a Hulk Hogan fan.
See, like, and he had the boots, so I just think that like he wears essentially what are wrestling boots all the time in case a match just breaks out.
You know, you got to be prepared. And actually, I mean, we're laughing, but it is really well put together. I mean, it does have style to it, and it does look comfortable. I mean, athleisure is like huge now, and all these companies that just like send you, you know, compression pants in the mail. Like, Hulk was like way ahead of his time on that one.
And in fairness, what were Madonna and Prince roaming the streets wearing at the time?
That's true.
Yeah.
Got a point.
And Hulk was the rock star of professional wrestling.
That's true.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
24/7 performative art, you know?
And so since he doesn't take Brell's offer, Brell's solution is to either casually murder him or at least rough him up real bad.
There's a lot of casual murder in this.
Because he gets in a limo and the limo gets locked and there comes, you know, things over the windows and he can't get out.
Oh, it's steel plates over the window. And it's not things, it's steel
this
plates.
This has happened before. You know,
Yeah.
I have a need for my murder limo.
You never know when Burrell is just in the mood to murder in his limo.
His murder chariot.
His murder chariot.
This happened when Brell couldn't get Battle of the Network stars.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. But my favorite part of this whole scene, before we even get to the casual murder that comes after, is the fact that Hulk is literally moving the limo from inside it by smashing it.
Hey, he's got
physics.
The
Come on,
pythons, brother. He's got the
I
biggest arms in the
know, I
world,
know,
dude.
He also doesn't skip leg day.
But
no, he doesn't.
So the Hulkster gets out of the limo by busting out of the top of it.
No, exploding.
Exploding out of the top
It is an
of
explosion.
And then, you know, taking down the goons here. And Conrad, did you feel that the limo driver was supposed to resemble Richard Belzer?
You know, it's funny that you say that because I've often thought that, you know, as an adult. I had no idea what that was as a kid, but as an adult, yeah, I do think they tried to cast a guy that looked just like him. Just to explain that a little further for our audience, Richard Belzer had a talk show right around the time of the first WrestleMania in '85. Hulk Hogan and Mr. T were guests on the show, and Belzer was being a little passive aggressive. I mean, he's a comedian, so you forgive a little bit of it, but he has Hulkster show him a move, and Hulk Hogan puts him in a sleeper hold, maybe purposely puts it on a little too hard, and Richard Belzer absolutely loses consciousness and smacks his head on the floor.
It's hard to watch. You can see it on YouTube.
And I'm a little hazy on the lawsuit details. I think it was settled, you know, completely out of court, but it created a enemy in Titan Towers of Richard Belzer at the WWE, and you can even hear Jesse Ventura on commentary during some wrestling events will make a snarky comment about Richard Belzer, but that's also because Jesse Ventura, I don't think, was crazy about Hulk Hogan. So right. Like bringing it up. But yeah, so the idea was, well, why don't we put a guy who looks like Richard Belzer in this movie and make him crap his pants? And yeah, so this is the line of the movie when he gets to the driver. And Elaine, would you like to help me reenact this here?
Oh God.
Sure. Right. This was not in our wedding vows, I'd like to say.
What's that smell?
Dookie.
Dookie.
Ooh, slow clap.
Slow clap.
Yes,
slow clap right there.
Worth it.
And it was amazing when I was 6. It was amazing when I was 12. It's amazing when I'm 32 years old. That scene will never get old. The only thing I have a problem with is, what did that limo driver eat?
Yeah, because it was all liquid. I thought it was piss at first.
Oh.
Ugh, that's an odd color.
No, but well, I mean, his pants were gray,
dark,
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, did he piss himself? No, but he ate something probably Mexican food
or P.F. Chang's.
Both.
Yeah. See, I'm wondering if Vince McMahon was on set that day and was like, you know, we need more Dookie. Just smear it all over there.
A poor PA.
Wow.
Who had to do that.
So from there we get another boardroom scene, but this is the hero boardroom scene.
Yeah.
Where we meet the Hulkster's love interest. Well, not at the time. They go back and forth between liking each other and hating each other. Like, it just seemed like they had a bunch of scenes and they didn't put them in the right order.
Yeah, it seems like you know, like how you do scenes on index cards, like when you're kind of mapping out a movie. It seems like a couple of them got swapped and like never got swapped in the right order again.
Yeah.
I just found this scene funny because the Hulkster is quite literally eye fucking that woman.
Oh, when he bites his
so
finger.
hard.
No, when he bites his finger, I want to die. Like, I want to go take a shower. It's so gross.
Well, you know, in the WWE, all you really had was Miss Elizabeth, and if you even looked at her, Randy Savage would kill you.
Listen, I know we usually talk about, like, you know, sometimes if, like, a movie holds up or, like, you know, where it lies, like, with misogyny. Like, we're not even going to talk about that this week. No. It's fine. It's a product of its time.
But this is where he chastises her because, well, you didn't mention my charities, brother. And we realize
that's, like, very
Rip's
important.
a good dude.
He's a good dude.
He's a good dude. He what, sports with kids?
It's something like that.
Connor, do you remember what his charity was called? I don't
know.
Yeah, it's
something very simple like that.
Sports with kids
or fun with kids. Or...
Yeah. never mind. I can make a horrible joke, but I won't.
Yeah, but he's kind of being extremely obnoxious with her, which leads to her saying, "We need to go have dinner."
Yeah, that's a reaction. When I dislike someone, I'm like, I need to spend more time with them.
Which leads to a beautiful French restaurant.
That's funny.
With the waiter that decides to completely
would you like
shit all over a customer?
We unfortunately we do not have an hamburger.
American
hot dog.
Listen, this is like the single charming moment I think of the movie because it is like I didn't see it coming, you know, like I kind of like fell into the the mentality now. I mean, I thought the waiter was a dick, but but the fact that like, they love him at this restaurant. And, like,
everybody loves Rip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, but like that he's a regular there. Like I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh, and like, like your expectations, like people can have layers, I mean, that's it in this movie.
Well, Conrad, did you think that had something to do with, Vince McMahon really trying to brush off the whole, bingo hall and guys smoking cigar mentality that all wrestling audiences are all bikers and dangerous kind of guys? Like, this guy has multiple layers. He's a nice guy. He does charity. He knows French food. Kind of saying that there's more to wrestling than just like that old antiquated idea.
Yeah, I think Vince wrote this for himself because this is Vince's real life. Like, Vince goes to the really nice restaurants and gives $100 handshakes all around. And this is Vince saying, hey, I got money and I belong here. It doesn't matter how I got it. Yeah, wrestling, paid for this, but I can do what you can do and I belong.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then we get to, we cut to back to Brell and his goons. His
two nerdy goons.
Oh. This part makes me uncomfortable.
It's like his Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which were Vince McMahon's goons during the Attitude Era, which is a shame because both those guys are extremely like talented and successful wrestlers. Yeah. But most people our generation just know them as Vince's stooges. But yeah, they go to a bar and it is the craziest bar I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
There are dwarves in cages. There is a dog.
I thought that was Peter Dinklage for a minute there.
Peter Dinklage is probably like,
I know, but I'm just saying. I was like, is that? I even went on to IMDb. I'm like, what is he in there?
He's got to be in another movie. That actor looked familiar to me. Yeah. So he had to have been in something else that we know. That's probably why he looked familiar. Yeah. And your brain just was like the
Peter
wrong
Dinklage.
thing. The wrong thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they meet a sort of cast of characters here.
The waitress who is. They're just like, oh, can we get like a martini? We don't got that. It's just back and forth.
Well, she wants to get laid, relayed, and parlayed. Is that? I think I got that right. I might have screwed that up a little bit, but
sounds right.
But yeah, they're there trying to scout tough guys.
Yes,
because they they want to basically get into the wrestling game even without
without Rip.
And they are checking it out. They are completely. This is not their environment. They are in 3-piece suits. There are people.
They stick out like a sore infected thumb.
Yeah. And eventually the two goons go to the bathroom,
which is
there's
funny.
What is that? Is it a Doberman in the corner? of the bathroom.
Yeah, Doberman Pinscher, I think. Yeah.
And they go to take a piss in the trough when they're just talking shit.
It's
on
important
everybody.
to note that they picked the trough that was next to another trough that was completely filled with urine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen,
Like overflowed with urine.
That bathroom isn't too far from the bathroom at the bar that John and I used to work at. I had flashbacks when they went to that bathroom because it looked very familiar.
Listen, I've been to a specific restaurant in the area. I'm not going to name names, but I went to their bathroom and it very much was like that.
Yeah, several health code violations.
Yeah, a little bit.
But and while they're talking trash, one of the individuals from the bar that we've been introduced to, who is doing some of the fighting and trash talking of them, suddenly appears from the stall
and screams.
Yeah. Well, and Conrad, who is this actor here playing this character?
Stan Hansen.
Which seemed now people who don't know, Stan Hansen was a professional wrestler,
okay,
as well, but he wasn't affiliated with Vince at the time, right?
No, he did not work with the WWF, but he was a big star all around the world, Japan and all the territories. He had been world champion in a few and was one of the biggest drawing acts in Japan at the time. But for whatever reason, he found himself in a WWF movie.
And I think was it because he was like real good friends with Hulk, or?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. We never got a firm answer as to why that would have been, because by the time this airs, he's actually working for a competitor, World Championship Wrestling.
Right. And it leads to, I'd say, what, the second best line in the movie?
Teeny weeny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he grabs him by the shoulders and like, just like I thought, teeny wieners. And,
oh god.
Yeah, so they're all humiliated, but you know they start to plant the seeds of their wrestling federation. You know they're starting to get a hold of that there, and which now gives us the opportunity to kind of get back to Rip and his romantic jaunt. With and I'm horrible with names. I'm gonna call her Joan Severance because I can't remember her character's name.
It's Samantha, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
Also known as Black Scorpion.
And it's strange because this is a whole random group of scenes where, you know, Rip takes her to a diner.
Well, they go on some kind of promotional trip.
Right. Yeah. It's a promotional trip. This should where we start. And Rip takes her to a diner, which she starts to see that, oh, he's like a, you know, good hometown boy. Like he takes care of, you know, his friends and family.
He's really down to
the
earth.
owner of the diner loves him. And they eventually they get robbed. And,
the diner gets robbed.
Yeah, the diner gets robbed. And Rip's answer to this is to do more damage than the money they would have received in order to stop these
in property
burglars.
damages.
Yeah. Which also includes a pie fight.
Yep.
Who doesn't like a good pie fight?
They have guns and he has pies, but somehow, you know, he's going to rip them. He's going to win this fight, brother. And
Do his rip move.
Once again, I feel that was something that was added after the fact.
Oh, yeah.
Hulk was, throw that in, brother. Make me look like a hero, dude.
Yeah, and some of these scenes just seem so out of place and out of context. Conrad, do you know anything about that? Like on why some of the scenes just don't feel right? Like, did they edit after the fact or did they reshoot or anything?
Yeah, there were reshoots, but I'm not exactly sure, you know, what we don't know, was this a reshoot or was the scene right before a reshoot?
Gotcha.
But yeah, there were reshoots for sure.
Which eventually leads to, now, see, this is where I talked about the kind of back and forth between him and Samantha. At this moment, you think that like he's a great guy. Everybody loves him. He's a hero. But then they get to the hotel scene and
they're very snarky with each other.
Yeah. All of a sudden they like are, very snarky is a great way to put it. It's like, don't blame me, brother. It was your company that booked a 1-bedroom hotel, dude. You know, and while she's brushing her teeth, he's brushing his teeth. They're like listening into the door at each other, which she's in the bathroom, which is a little weird. But Rip basically separates the bed with a sheet.
Yeah, he makes like a kind of like a blanket fort.
Instead of going down, instead of just going downstairs and asking for like a cot or something.
Or just sleeping on the floor.
Although he's like 6'8" and 300 pounds of rippling muscle, like he'd just probably break the cot, right?
Maybe.
He couldn't sleep on that. Which then leads to what I was a very upsetting scene if you've never seen this movie before, where Samantha wakes up in the middle of the night and the bed is bouncing and you're hearing
Oh God, yes.
what is going on?
I totally thought he was jacking it.
Well, it's still an upsetting scene because you see that he's doing push-ups, but he's using the bed like under his feet for like leverage.
Yeah,
and it's literally the smallest pair of shorts I've ever seen on a man
those aren't
or
shorts.
a woman.
Those are shorts. That's like underwear.
No, I think it's his shorts, and they just like managed to like get up in there, all up in there, and his hungry butt. I don't know. It's really bad.
What?
It's like this
hungry.
You guys have never heard that before?
No.
Like when your shorts are like real small, like
because it's like eating them.
Yeah,
the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
Of his ass.
Ew.
Well, and it leads to surprisingly one of the most disturbing images I've ever seen, considering that their feet. We get a close up of the balls of his feet.
Yeah.
While he's doing and your brain automatically starts trying to figure out what the fuck you're looking at.
That's exactly what happened to me. I was watching. I'm just going like, what is that?
What is it? Don't wait up for me. As he's doing his push-ups.
So we have Brel he's working with. We've mentioned that it's Battle of the Tough Guys.
No,
right?
we haven't brought that up yet.
We haven't got to that yet. Because remember, first we realized that Samantha is actually a double agent. Dun, dun,
I felt so betrayed.
And Brel is just completely upset with her because she didn't do whatever exactly it was she was supposed to do.
Well, she was supposed to seduce him, but then when she actually was able to seduce him, she didn't want to anymore.
She started to fall in love.
But she was kind of a dick to him at the last scene we saw them in together. I'm so confused.
Which leads to, I'd say, the most upsetting and bizarre tonal shift in this whole movie. Brel sends a bunch of goons after her when she refuses to participate any longer, and they try to rape her.
I mean, it does seem like they're trying to do that. I mean, there's definitely like assault. Like it's such a heavy element to like an otherwise like very light movie.
Conrad, what do you make of this scene? Like, does it just seem like for a movie for essentially for kids? I mean, I'm sure they want all audiences, but this just seems like they really just went all in on something very kind of disturbing.
No, I would agree. But at the same time, that they're probably trying to, mirror movies of the day. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but you look back at Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and whatnot. These are not, these are not Pulp Fiction. It made sense to me that they would tease something without actually having to get so far as to a point where Ed Dad would have to turn in the theater seat and explain what was going on.
Right. But thankfully Rip just shows up.
On his motorcycle.
He's like, you better run. And starts chasing down one of the goons and gets him on his handlebars. Which I think is
he's
awesome.
like, what does he say? He's like, it's just you, me, and the tree.
And hurls him into the tree. And like,
he's fucking dead. He's fucking dead.
I don't know if he's dead.
Yeah, okay. So,
he's dead.
So maybe, Conrad, if you could be, not a tiebreaker because I'm already outnumbered, but I don't think that the guy dies. Like, they make sure to show that he's moving after he hits the ground.
Yeah, I don't think he dies.
Thank you.
2-2. Okay. All right, well, Lane, I'm leaning a little bit more towards your side. So, all right. So that's 3-1. I think.
I'm saying he's dead because at the end of this movie, everybody fucking dies. So you're already setting that stuff up.
And this is when she admits to Rip that she has been playing him a fool all along.
And he immediately and without explanation forgives her. Basically, she doesn't seem to really go into that much detail.
Well, Lane, you've clearly forgotten about his charity, brother. He's a good dude.
And he likes French food.
And when they're about to, let's say, get intimate on the couch, Zeus shows up on the TV, and oh boy, I feel we need to go back a little bit.
We do.
There was one of the first inaugural Battle of the Tough Guys, which Brel puts on, and they're trying to get a sense of who's going to be their champion. When all of a sudden, one of the coolest introductions in movie history, this big, great door breaks down, and out of the smoke, here comes
backlit as
Zeus.
hell.
Yeah, low angle Undertaker shot.
Oh yeah.
Here's Zeus, and they say, "Oh, this is our guy."
No, well, he's just like, let him fight.
Well, yeah, and then so Zeus is now kind of like the star of this Battle of the Tough Guys entity. And what I don't understand is that everyone's allowed to have a weapon against Zeus. Is he not allowed to have a weapon? Does he just not need one?
Zeus is the weapon.
That's what I said. Zeus is the weapon.
I'm concerned about his internal organs.
Zeus doesn't have internal organs.
Is Zeus part robot?
The man smashes cinder blocks, for God's sake. You're asking that question?
It's true.
It's hilarious on Conrad's podcast how they had mentioned that when he was in the WWF at the time, he would paint on his own unibrow, and it wasn't always even.
Is that true?
That's amazing.
Is that true, Conrad?
Yeah, I mean that's the story that Bruce gives, and when you go back and you look at the footage, it is different in every single scene that you see him.
Something new to watch for.
Yeah, so Burrell has his guy. He's got his his tough guy, and they're throwing a challenge out to Rip, and everybody around him doesn't know if he can win. It's like Rocky IV. Kind of.
It felt very much to me like Rocky IV. And it even had kind of moments of Kickboxer thrown in too. Although Kickboxer came out a little bit after this, so it's possible Kickboxer might have borrowed from this movie.
Well, and it's funny because after a scene where we actually see Rip's charity and a no answer to a challenge from Zeus and Brel, we have basically the Apollo scene where
we do.
Rip's brother, who we not really mentioned yet.
What's his name? Randy?
Randy, yeah. And he, he's kind of in the background. He's like one of like Rip's trainers and managers and everything. They go to scout Zeus. And
that just is a dumb fucking move.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Randy and his friend.
And I don't know, like, here's the thing. If there's a big Battle of the Tough Guys competition coming up, I wouldn't have Zeus just in matches because in this world, it's not predetermined. Like, this is not a scripted event. Like, if he takes a lug wrench to the head, your star is...
He's dead.
Yeah.
John, you're always thinking like a booker. Like, it's unreal.
Well, I mean, like, obviously, between, like, the Royal Rumble winner is going to wrestle 80 times before WrestleMania, and you hope nothing happens, but that's predetermined. In this world, guys are trying to hit each other with, like, pipes.
That's true.
And sledgehammers and stuff.
But
they're
Randy,
scouting the match.
And Randy and his friend, like, they get caught and they get, like, the snot beat out of them. Randy does not look okay. It's bad.
He's got some really nasty painted on bruises.
Yeah, because it cuts to Rip at his bedside, doing like essentially a candlelight vigil without candles.
That's true.
Oscar-worthy moment, right? There. The tears.
I know we keep making fun of it, but I think they did a good job of actually making Rip's character like pretty likable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, some of it's like a little weird, but they actually did a pretty good job of that.
Oh, Rip's awesome.
Yeah.
You hear some backstage stories about Hulk Hogan, and I don't know if he was as cool as Rip, but I like to pretend he is because I was a Hulkamaniac growing up.
Yeah.
But this leads to one of the most bizarre scenes in movie history.
Yeah,
where he goes to Zeus's gym to confront him, and
it's really weird because it's almost like Brel is brainwashing Zeus to fight Rip.
Sorry, when I say he, pronouns, pal. Do I owe you $1 for saying that, by the way?
No, sir, but you can't do sure.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
I said your hair looks nice.
No. But he being Rip goes to Zeus's gym, and and it's just he's got all these video screens from Brel.
Yeah, it's like Rip says the worms are too good for you.
Yeah,
it's repeating over and over again.
It's state propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah, Conrad, what do you make of this scene? It's just so odd.
Everything in this movie is odd and silly. Nothing stands out as particularly odd to me in this movie, just because all of it is odd.
That's true.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and I think they do a good job of balancing this and not going over the top. It's a live action cartoon, but very subtly. Like obviously a grown man cannot leap out of the roof of a car.
Yes, he can. I saw it. So,
but so they draw that line very carefully of making this like little kids are it's a live action cartoon, but it's not nobody's gonna get hit in the head by an anvil from 100 feet and live. Little birdies around the head.
That's true.
Like that. But
save that for Suburban Commando.
But then we get a sweet training montage of like Rip training and Zeus training and like Rip's little brother kind of like going through water bath treatments.
Well, Rip really isn't training during that montage. Yeah. He's pretty much just helping his brother, kind of get back on his feet. And at the same time, you've got Zeus smashing cinder blocks.
Upsetting.
Which that's science. But which leads us to our main event. So we get to the title match of our show, where Brel did it. He goaded Rip into wrestling Zeus at the big Battle of the Tough Guys. I'm assuming pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if they officially say pay-per-view, but
it's pay-per-view.
Yeah. And they have a drag down knockout fight here. And I think this goes like a little bit too long.
The match does?
The match itself, yeah. But before we even get to the match, we have Brel kidnapping Samantha and holding her hostage. They like basically tell him to throw the fight.
Yeah.
Or God only knows what he's going to do to her.
Rape and murder.
Yeah. Well, he even...
Wow, that was so blunt, Brian.
Well,
he has to die at the end. Okay, I mean that you have to make him that unlikable to the point where you're okay with him,
true.
dying.
Yeah. But he mostly threatens like Rip though.
Yeah.
Like, why would you kidnap a woman and then threaten him? Like, shouldn't you threaten her to get to him?
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's what he does.
Proper
Sort of,
hostage.
yeah. But this is unheard of, by the way, that he has a wrestling federation and the WWF has a wrestling federation and Rip comes to fight. This would be, at the time, like Ric Flair is the NWA World Heavyweight Champion wrestling Hulk Hogan at an NWA event, like at Starrcade or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. It's unheard of. You're never going to have one star from another company go on to a competitor because that's just going to be as profitable as them as possible. Conrad, do you think that's kind of odd that WWF would almost give Rip up for this event?
Not really, because someone tried to kill his brother. And if someone tried to kill Hulk Hogan's brother in real life, he would probably still try to go beat them up.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's all about motivation.
Fair enough.
That and they did try to rape his girlfriend. So there you go.
And so we got the big match. It's going back and forth. He has his brother ringside in a wheelchair. And it just when all seems lost for Rip, yeah, his brother's finger starts moving like, do it for me, Rip! Do it for me! And he starts coming back to life, which leads Rip to essentially Hulk up. See, that's the problem here. The term is hulking up. But Hulk Hogan doesn't exist in this universe.
He rips up, okay? That's what he does.
He's
ripping.
Which they end up battling into the scaffolding. And it's funny because if anybody that ever watched Monday Night Raw in like 93, like that era, it looks somewhat like the Manhattan Center. Because they got, it's a smaller venue. They have like kind of a control booth out of sight. And they battle up to where, now I'm drawing a blank on his name. The villain of the movie.
Zeus.
Brel. Yeah.
Where
Brel is, and he's starting to freak out because they're getting super close. And Rip does this axe handle smash, which apparently, fun fact, was Hulk Hogan, one of his finishing moves in Japan.
Oh, really?
Ooh, you the knowledge.
And he knocks Zeus like 20 feet through the ring.
Oh, yeah. Smashes right through the ring.
Which, I think his wrestling career is over.
I think he's dead. I think his life career is over. Okay.
Hey, if Shawn Michaels could miss 4 years of his career for hitting a casket on his lower back, God only knows what happened to Zeus. But then
dead. That's what happened to Zeus.
But he turns Rip turns his attention on Brel, And
This is
I don't think
great.
there's any arguing here that Brell is dead.
Oh,
because-
yeah. He gets
'cause
murdered.
He's trying to shut down the
Yeah,
broadcast.
that I never understood. I'm like, why are you freaking out and like ripping apart all this television broadcast shit?
You're still going to get the money.
You're still gonna get killed. Like that's not gonna stop him from getting you. Wouldn't you try to run away? Like that's what I never understood.
Well, and then he gets violently electrocuted. And one thing that I thought was like somewhat surprising for a movie for all audiences, as Brell is lying there, blood is seeping out of his mouth.
Yeah.
It's
Hard to
very
watch.
intense. But yeah, and then his little brother is able to stand again, and we have a victorious moment.
Rip's little brother.
What did I say?
You said he. Pronouns again.
Oh. Yeah, and then we have our happy ending where all the heroes, they kind of do the flash frame, or it's a still frame.
Still frame.
Yeah.
And goodness has won the day again.
Goodness has won the day.
And there were no holds barred.
Yeah.
Not so Conrad, what are your final thoughts on the conclusion of this? I almost said match, but movie here.
Well, I mean, it's it's everything I enjoyed about 80s movies. Good overcomes evil when it doesn't seem like it's possible. He saves the damsel in distress. He defends his family's honor, and there's a big explosion. So,
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, the movie was, I don't think, the success that they had hoped.
No, it was not.
It did okay. It's like opening weekend, but then immediately just, dropped off. I don't know if it was word of mouth or what, but, it didn't stop Hulk Hogan from being somewhat of a movie star.
No,
Well,
I mean
movies.
in the early 90s. I mean, he was in a bunch of movies, and I think he also did TV as
Thunder
well.
in Paradise.
Thunder in Paradise. Yeah, I mean, but like for me, I wasn't exposed necessarily to this movie first. I was exposed to Suburban Commando,
Which is awesome.
which I love that movie.
That's the movie that introduced, well, I guess unless you knew Mean Mark Callis, like that's the movie that introduced the world to The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Like unless you had seen him wrestle as Mark before, he is one of the goons, the bounty hunters.
Yep.
After Shep Ramsey, I think is his name.
That's his name, Shep Ramsey.
But anyways, it eventually led to them having like a Zeus in the WWE. I should say Tiny Lister because he's a real person. And leading up to, they wanted to get this to like WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But Tiny Lister couldn't wrestle, so they kind of had a blow off match that December. No holds barred. The movie, the match, only on pay-per-view.
Okay.
And obviously, I don't want to do the impression of Vince there because I would just be copying Bruce. But and then so they kind of had a little bit of payoff for the company. But yeah, the movie is, and it kind of fell into cult status. It just was one of those things that true diehard fans like me or people that just discovered it who aren't even wrestling fans, but just saw it on TBS at 3 a.m. We're like, this is awesome. So it's kind of where it found its home.
Yeah, and I think that's so interesting too, because the WWE is still making movies, and Conrad, I'm wondering, like, this movie's undeniably No Holds Barred is a cult like kind of classic. Do you think that WWE has turned out any other movies that have a similar status, like whether it's been in the years since or even in the last 10 years?
The Marine, I think, made some money, and that's probably, the long and the short of it. I don't think there's been anything else that they've created that has any sort of staying power. No Holds Barred to me is incomparable just because it's what I grew up on. But I could see how if you were, 15 or 20 years younger than me, you think the Marine is the greatest thing ever. That would make total sense to me.
I can see that.
But yeah, it's cartoonish fun. Obviously, it's not for everybody, but I mean, this film is riddled with memorable lines.
Yeah.
Dookie, teeny weenies, go piss yourself. I mean,
Jock-Ass.
Yeah. It's just, as Conrad said, it's just amazing 80s fun.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
At the time I was, sad going through, because I was very young when this came out, but I went through the video library because I had a video store in town that had a wrestling section, and they were it was a small store, so it was little plastic sleeves, and you would just go, and it had SummerSlam 89 and then Survivor Series 89 and Royal Rumble 9, and I would go through, and I was kind of like, where's the Hulkster after WrestleMania 4? And I didn't know he was off shooting this movie, and that's why they had to get the belt off him and and all that stuff. So at the time I was a little bit upset because like, where is the Hulkster? I didn't pay for this Andre the Giant Macho Man Randy Savage main event. But amazing movie. I kind of think that kind of wraps it up.
Amazing movie, amazing guest. Conrad, thank you so much for joining us for this.
Well, listen, I didn't have to do much. You guys were having a good time, and this is undeniably one of the greatest cinema achievements of all time.
Agreed.
I won't let you guys sit around and disparage the good damn name of No Holds Barred. You go watch this if you haven't already. You don't know what you're missing out on.
Definitely. It is amazing. So before we do our plugs, I would say, please go on, and it's too bad that we're doing just the audio version of this because like that guy who wears the band or the t-shirt of the band that he's going to see, I'm wearing my I used to be over t-shirt because I'm fanboying out here. So yeah, go listen to Something to Wrestle With, Bruce Prichard. It is, if you are a dedicated wrestling fan, what are you doing not listening to this? Or if you are a Lapsed fan, say, I watched during the Attitude Era, or I watched when Hulkamania was running wild. They have, Bruce Prichard was in the company for years. These two are great together. There's something for everybody, whether you are like a Lapsed fan or you're a hardcore fan or even just a casual fan. There is so much on that podcast. Every Friday at noon, there's a new episode. I'm in the Undertaker episode right now. It's amazing. I love the podcast. That's why I wanted, to have Conrad on. And, so Conrad, thank you very much for being on, and make sure you check out Something to Wrestle With, Bruce Prichard.
Hey man, thanks for thinking of me, guys. I really appreciate it. We're having a good time on our show, and I had a good time on yours too. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Hey, it's Conrad. I'm pretty active there, and we'd love to have you check out Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard every Friday at noon at somethingtowrestle.com.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Nice meeting
Thank you. Lane, where can they find you on the Twitters?
Twitter, I am at LA_Croft.
John?
The Unreal J Wolves.
Pink on the inside. I always want to say it every time you do your Twitter. That's his bio on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Pink on the inside, and I want to say it every single time.
Dude, I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, that is a
looked
thing.
at me like I was crazy.
What the hell are you doing?
No, yeah, you've had that on there forever.
Yeah, you looked
Well,
at me like
we're all pink on the inside.
Yeah, that's the whole point. You can find me at Brian Coddington, also on the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google Plus at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epic Ass Network at epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away, you want to talk to us a little bit about No Holds Barred, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. Make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. Send us a rate, send us a review. We love getting those. Also, be sure to check out our monthly newsletter, Psychos Nation, and catch a new episode available every Sunday.
You Jock-Ass! Epicast.